Hi Clausen students, this is Jordan Shug again, here to explain some stuff about chord changes. I think that things went really fast at our clinics, and I just wanted to kind of zoom in on some of the things that are involved with chord changes and kind of explain some of the theory behind it in a step-by-step manner, hoping that you guys can kind of understand some of it a little bit better. So first things first is I'm just going to write the C major scale on this board. And as we know, C major has no sharps, no flats. And so it's just all the letters in a row, right? Starting at C and ending at C. Okay, so a chord is every other note for three notes. So a C chord is going to be C, skip D, E, skip F, and G. So when you see the letter C, it's these three notes. This is a C chord, a C major chord. Okay? A D chord is every other note. D, F, and A. Now hopefully that makes sense to you. So a chord is every other note, and so what we say is they are thirds. So 1, 2, 3 is a third, 1, 2, 3 is a third. So we say chords are stacked in thirds. Okay. Now, as you recall, some chords are major and some chords are minor, and so I'm here to explain a little bit about that. Now, you might know this already, but a scale is designed with whole steps and half steps. And so between C and D is a whole step, D and E is a whole step, E and F is a whole step, F and G, I'm sorry, E and F is a half step, F and G is a whole step, G and A is a whole step, A and B is a whole step, and B and C is a half step. And so, without getting too complicated, a major chord is a stacked major third with a minor third. So this is a major chord. A minor chord is a minor third stacked with a major third. So for a major chord, it's major third first, minor third second. For a minor chord, it's minor third first, major third second. Okay? So just remember that. A major third is two whole steps in a row. Right? So we have a whole step and a whole step between C and E. And so C to E is a major third. A minor third is a whole step plus a half step. Right? Sorry about my W. And so a minor third is when there's a half step involved, right? Okay. So using this information, we can decide whether or not a chord is major or minor without ever hearing it. So let's continue this. C, D, E is every other note, E, G, B. This is an E chord. F, A, C. G, B, D, right? If we continued on, G, B, D. Is a G chord. A, C, E. A, C, E. So it's just every other note, every other letter. And now B, D, F. Okay, so if a major chord is a major third plus a minor third, 2 whole steps between C and E make it a major third. Sorry about my N there. And then E to G is a half step and a whole step. That makes it a minor third. So C is a major chord. And with a major chord, we just don't write anything. It's assumed major. So the C chord is just like that. D, F, and A is a whole step and a half step between D and F. So it's a minor third at the bottom and a major third at the top. And that makes D a minor chord. E is E, G, B. We have a half step and a whole step. That makes it minor at the bottom. And then G to B is 2 whole steps, major at the top. F, A, C, 2 whole steps. That's a W. You know, we could do the half steps as a triangle. That might help. Okay, so that's 2 whole steps. That means it's major here. A to C is a whole step and a half step. That's minor there. That means that F is major. So E was minor. F is major. So I don't write anything. As we continue on through, G, B, 2 whole steps. So if the bottom is a major third, that makes it a major chord. A to C is a whole step and a half step. If there's a minor third at the bottom, that makes it a minor chord. Now B is the unique one because it's 2 minor thirds. B is a half step to D is a whole step. Half step plus a whole step is a minor third. D to F is a whole step and a half step, and that makes it a minor third, which technically makes it diminished, which we write a little circle for. However, this chord is rarely used for that reason. It's kind of an abrasive sounding chord, so for right now we're just going to kind of ignore that. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chords in C major. 3 of them are major, 3 of them are minor. Now, with all this math that we're doing here, you can just memorize that the first scale degree is a major chord, minor chord, minor chord, major chord, major chord, minor chord. And it's always going to be that way, no matter what. Okay, so this is the technical way you find out if a chord is major or minor. You can also just listen to it. Long way, or an easy way to think of it is major sounds happy, minor sounds sad, some people think. So this is a C major chord. This is a C minor chord. Right? You can tell that you hear them all the time in music, so they're familiar to your ear. And a lot of us think that this sounds happy and that the minor sounds sad. Okay, so a lot of times in order to change keys we'll use the number system. So just to remind you that a lot of times musicians will number the chords just to make it, actually makes it easier. So we call this the 1 chord, the 2 chord, the 3 chord, the 4 chord, the 5 chord, and the 6 chord. And notice that if it's minor, I made it little case, and if it's major, it's uppercase. And this numeric system is what music theory classes in colleges use a lot. So if you're going to have a future in music, you're going to see that quite often. In pop music, they don't use the numbers quite as often, they just use the letters, but the numbers help us change key, and so I'm going to use them moving forward. Okay, so I hope this sort of makes sense to you. Remember that the 1 chord is major, the 2 chord is minor, the 3 chord is minor, the 4 chord is major, the 5 chord is major, and the 6 chord is minor. and major chords sound happy, minor chords sound sad. And so I thought I would pull up a song and show you how the chord changes work in a popular song. And recently somebody told me to use the song called Don't Start Now by Dua Lipa. And so what we're going to do is listen to that song, and I'm going to show you the process I use to find the chord changes, and then what you can do with that information once you find it. Okay, so I'm going to erase all of this. So I listened to the song a bit earlier, and I decided that it sounds like it's in D major, but if I play a little bit of it, okay, so I played through some scales and I decided that that one is the grouping of notes that I hear within this song, right? Okay, so with D major, we're just going to write that scale down on the board. Now, of course, you could look up these chords online. You can find them probably anywhere. That's the beauty of the internet age. But we're going to do this one step at a time because I do this by ear for the most part. F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp. And this is probably the first scale that all of us learned on their string instruments. Okay, so as we said, the 1 chord is usually major, the 2 chord is minor, the 3 chord is minor, the 4 chord is major, the 5 chord is major, and the 6 chord is minor, and we're not going to deal with C sharp or D. And so, what I like to do is start with finding the bass notes of the chords. So, we start a song over. So, using my ear, I find where the bass note is. That sounds like a B to me, and so I write the letter B. And because B is minor in the key of D, there's a very good chance that this is a minor chord. I'd say there's a 95% chance. Even if I couldn't hear it. I can hear it, so I know it's minor, but if I couldn't hear it, I would know that B minor is a very solid guess. So, I'm hearing D and E. And then quick D to E. So I'm going to write that down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then our next measure is a D major chord. If you don't want to see me, and then there's kind of a little like quick D to E here. Kind of write that like this. We could just think of it as E though. Is E major or minor? It's minor, and so we're going to write an M-I-N here. Yeah, I'm probably confusing you with this. Let's just do this. Let's just call it an E minor chord. And then our 4th measure . a rest. Okay, that's our intro. And then let's do the verse here. Okay. That first chord sounds like an E. The bass note sounds like an E. B. To G. To D. Oh, and then there's another note. So, okay. So here's what I'm hearing. Bass notes. E, B, 2, 3, 4, G, D, to A in one measure. And then we find our minors. E is a minor chord. B is a minor chord. G is major, D is major, A is major. And I think they repeat that. E, B, G, D, A. Good. So the song is pretty simple, as most pop songs are. So that does these 4 measures twice. I can just put repeat signs around that. Boop, boop. And that is our chord progression. Now what are the notes in those chords? Well, remember we said that they're every other letter, right? E, G, B. So this chord represents those 3 letters at the same time. So we can write those in as a little shorthand. G and B here, right? B, D, F sharp. Those are the 3 notes in there. G, B, D, right? Every other letter. D, F sharp, A. A, C sharp, E. And those are the notes that are in the chord that you can play along with. So, if I was going to play the chord notes to this song, oh yeah, okay. So I'm going to come in right here. Here's the bar of rest. 2, 3, 4. You gotta hear that they sound right, which is cool, right? So that's the verse of the song, I think I would say, and I think we're on to something called the bridge. What are the chords to the bridge? Sounds the same to me. Okay, so the same chord. So this repeats 3 times. And here's the chord that's existing in the rest. We're going to call it a G chord. There's a little fanciness in there, but for all intents and purposes, G major. So, B, D, F sharp, every other letter in the D major scale. D, F sharp, A, E, G, B, G, B, D. And suddenly we have the first at least minute of the song, I think. So I'm going to use this information to play along with the recording. Now we're going here. Do that again, repeat.
Don't show up, don't come out, don't start caring about me now. Walk away, you know how. Don't start caring about me now. Aren't you the guy who...
Okay, so you hear that we sort of figured this song out. We could go through the rest of it, and I bet most of it's repeated material. So we probably figured about 90% of this song. Okay, what does this mean for you guys? So this seemed like a very involved process that I did fairly quickly, but would probably take the average person a little bit longer. I've been doing this for a while, so I can do it quickly. But what you need to know is, if you know this key you're in, and you see these letters, you know the notes that are going to be in these chords. And so when you look it up online and you see these chord changes, you know that there's 3 letters or there's 3 notes in every one of these chords. And if you find those 3 notes, you can play and experiment and kind of come up with your own part, just as I was, right? So B, D, F sharp, every other note, D, F sharp, A, E, G, B, right? And so that can help you get started. I hope this helped you guys, this little theory lesson here. Send me questions through Ms. DeSalvio, and hopefully I can answer them if you have any immediate questions. At first this stuff can seem really complicated, but actually it doesn't get much more complicated than this. So if you can get to this level, you're coasting. Okay, thanks guys, appreciate your time. Hope you're hanging in there.